My Thanksgiving was quite interesting, if you want to call it that. So to give some backstory, in my family, my mother and kind of sort of dad, but I mostly remember mom. Things like Thanksgiving and Christmas were always very important. There were things you had to do. You had to have Christmas dinner. You had to have Thanksgiving dinner. Even if you didn't go anywhere, you had to do a turkey and dressing and desserts and all that. And that was just part of how we did our Thanksgiving. So, of course, when both mom and dad passed away, the kind of person Kelvin is, it's a special day. You have to do it because it's special. And you have to do special things on a special day. So, for Kelvin, who's far more interested in all this crap than I am, is the one who cooks and does the special stuff for the special day. I'm just mostly there for free food and to avoid the rest of my relatives because they don't care to talk to me the rest of the time, so why should we care to talk to them now? That kind of thing.
Right.
Since mom and dad have both passed away, it's just really me and my brother now. So typically I go over to his place. He comes and gets me and we go over there. We eat what he's made, and just kind of hang out. And of course, we had made some plans what we were going to do Thanksgiving. Outside of the normal food that he was going to make, we were going to sit down and watch the new season of Mystery Science Theater 3000. We were pretty much going to make that like our entire day, is just to sit through the gauntlet and enjoy it. When I woke up Thanksgiving Day, you know how, it's not like I claim to be psychic or anything, but you just have this feeling that things aren't going to go well?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I kind of had that feeling. Because Kelvin called and told me, he's like, everything's going to be ready at 4. So he's like, I'm going to pick you up, and we're going to go over to her cousins, say hi to everybody, and then I'm going to take you to my place, and we'll have dinner. And I'm like, okay, that sounds okay. Then he called me back, and is like, things still aren't ready. It'll be closer to 6. Oh, and by the way, we're not going to her cousin's because I can't get a hold of anybody to find his address. Because I don't know how to get there. I'm like, well, alright, I didn't really want to go there anyway, but whatever. But stuff kept happening, and I'm like, there's a reason why things keep being delayed, and I'm not really sure what it is. Something I didn't think to mention is, for the last, I think this makes it Christmas 3 or so. So for about the last 3 years, my brother has had a roommate/girlfriend living with him.
Mm-hmm.
And I like her. She's okay. I mean, she stayed with my brother this long. She's the longest lasting roommate, so.
Yeah.
Well, usually they're gone in like a year because they're terrible people. But she's actually been pretty cool. I like talking to her, I mean, I don't really know her a whole lot, but I'm like, well, she's still there. I think something's working out. But Kelvin took her. He went to a convention, I think, to do tarot cards. I don't really remember. It wasn't that long ago, but anyway, he went to a convention, and she wanted to go along to sell some homemade jewelry, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently she does not do alcohol well.
Oh, dear.
So that was an adventure for Kelvin that he told me he did not want to repeat. I think we know where the story is going now. Another thing I did not know until I got into the car when Kelvin finally picked me up was that this other person that I kept seeing him with was also living there at this moment. And I was like, okay, I should have been told this long ago when you guys decided to do this, but okay, whatever, as long as she's helping to pay bills, I don't care. I'm gonna try to refer to these people as roommate and other person. I might simplify this further to try and protect the names of the well, they're not innocent, but they're not evil. It just
We call them Roo and Opie. You know, like roommate and Opie for other person.
I'll immediately forget that, but okay.
Roo, Opie, Roo, Opie, Roo, Opie. Sounds like Toshiki Yugi with Miyaka and Tamahime, you know?
I've never.
Yoko!
I need to actually.
Yoko!
I need to actually watch that.
Well, I just summed up like half of it for you just now.
Oh, great! Thank you. That was so helpful. But anyway, so my brother picks me up, and we get halfway. Well, not even halfway to his house. We get to Nowtown, which is around the courthouse. I don't know like how familiar you are with going in that direction, Hushjo. Do you know where our courthouse is, ish?
I'm lucky if I know where I am right now.
Okay, all right. I could walk there if I really wanted to, but I would have a lot of trouble like trying to walk to Kelvin's place because it's like even past the hospital, past 13 curves. You know, it would take forever to walk there, and it really wouldn't be safe if I have to get on 13 curves and walk over there because it's 13 curves. One side is a sheer cliff that people all the time because they go over the speed limit or they're just not used to driving through there, just crash down that one side. Like they put a guardrail there now, but I doubt that's really helped.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're heading towards the courthouse, and Kelvin's like, oh, by the way, I just wanted to let you know, roommate has been drinking.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, okay, how much have they had? A lot. She's drunk. And I'm like, okay. I'm already like, oh god, no, I don't want to do this. I'm going to tell Kelvin no. And so I tell Ray, I'm like, Ray, I really don't want to be around drunk people. That's just not going to be a good time. And if that's the case, I'd rather he just take me back home and bring me some food later. I mean, I know that totally takes away from the whole experience he wants to go for because it's Turkey Day. But I'm like, if they've been drinking, I don't want any part of it. So what apparently had happened is other person had brought beer into the home, and roommate drank a shit ton of it.
Yeah, you'd have to. Beer, good grief.
Well, this was, I think, like a 24 pack, and she'd had like 15 or something. She drunk and then she kept drinking.
Damn.
Like, and other person, they were drunk, but they were not as wasted as she was. So I could have a normal, kind of normal conversation with other person, but not her. But anyway, are you still there, Hushi?
I'm sorry, I'm just a little bit stunned.
Okay, I didn't hear you anymore. I thought maybe you disconnected or something.
No, I'm just kind of like, wow.
But yeah, apparently she did not have an off button when it comes to alcohol. And Kevin's like, well, you know, it's Thanksgiving, and I made dinner, and we should go at least eat, and if it's a little too much, we can just leave. You know, we just, eat what we want, maybe pack some to go, and I'll bring you home. And so after a little bit of talking, because I know it's that important to Kelvin, I agreed. I shouldn't have. I knew better, but Kelvin wasn't going to let this go. And again, I'm really the only family he has left, and special days mean you have to do special things, and that's so ingrained into Kelvin that there's no possible way he's going to let me say no, because he wants this to be a special day because he's worked his ass off for it, which he does every year. He'll stay up into the wee hours of the morning cooking, making desserts and all kinds of stuff. So I know he's worked really hard, and I know it's really important, but there's drunk people over there. And I'm like, it's not going to be a great day, but I'm like, okay, maybe if we just rush and eat and like, we'll just skip MST 3K and I'll just go home. Maybe me and Kelvin will like watch it another day or something. 'Cause I really don't want to stay there with a bunch of drunk people. So we finally get to his place, and I'm walking up the stairs, and you can hear the music through the door.
Oh dear.
So we open the door, and of course there's roommate and other person. Things seem to be okay. I mean, they both greet us. Things, again, seem to be going okay. Until Ray asks roommate to turn the music down. And she gets right in his face and tells him no. And you can tell she is plowed. She is beyond drunk. She is way out there. I'm sure you've seen the people who have way too much to drink, Joe, so you understand what we're dealing with, I hope.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so I'm already not liking this. Even less. Because, like, I understand she's drunk and normally she's a very nice lady, but, you're in my brother's face telling him no to a simple request of turning your very much too loud music down. But because I'm there to try and keep peace, I try and keep my mouth shut. And my brother asks her several times to turn the music down because it's too loud. And she keeps telling him right up in his face, no, 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 no. And I'm just like, okay, don't get angry yet. You just got here. Just sit down and try to wait for food to finish cooking. And so that's what I do. I'm trying to ignore everybody and just kind of hang out with the cats. Other person is, again, not as drunk, but still drunk, and is trying to have a conversation with me. And the only thing I'm really thinking is, please don't burn down this house. My father bought it because as soon as she lights a cigarette, she's not really caring what her ashes do. And so they're flying all over the carpet.
Oh.
And I'm like, I'm going to grab that from you and stuff it out and throw all your cigarettes away. But again, I'm just like, I'll just pay close attention to avoid a fire if I can, and keep my mouth shut to try and keep peace. 'Cause my plan, pretty much the plan is we just stay long enough to eat and leave. And, so I know where the kittens are, so I go in there basically just to get away from them and hang out with kittens. And my brother does the same thing because he knows I'm in there to get away from them and hang out with kittens. Basically, while we're in there trying to be quiet and try to ignore them, they're going through a gauntlet of emotions. As drunks do, I'm sure. From happy to sad to crying to back to happy. This is a train wreck waiting to happen.
Sounds like it.
And trust me, the train wreck comes. Comes sooner than maybe you think. And so eventually, while we're in there trying to hide out from them, I keep telling Kelvin, I'm like, Ray, I think we should just leave. He's like, no, I worked really hard on the food, and I mean, we're here now, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, listen to them, Ray. I mean, they're blasting the music even louder, I think, now. And I'm like, this is already, like, making me very unhappy. and I think we should just go and eat somewhere else. And he's like, yeah, but the food will be done in like about 20 more minutes. Yeah, but that's 20 more minutes. We have to deal with this that we shouldn't have to deal with this, and we could just go somewhere else.
Yeah, plus, I mean, all that shit is just gonna make your digestion go bad. It's gonna be an unenjoyable meal. It's gonna be a chore to sit through.
Yeah. He's like, well, we'll just eat what we have now. And he's like, and if there's anything you want, I'll just make you a plate to give to you later, and then we'll just eat and leave. At this point, I was starting to get a headache, like that kind of migraine that starts shooting through your eye. It wasn't bad, but it was trying to start and get there. And I'm like, Ray, if they're not going to turn the music down, I'm like, I don't really want to stay here. I mean, I'm hungry and I'd like to eat, but I think we should just go. And, I kept reiterating this. And then finally that was Ray's solution. We'll just eat what we have. Because he's like, I really want you to eat the turkey and dressing. Because the dressing was Dad's specialty and Kelvin has the recipe. And so that it's key to make it and eat it every year. And so I'm like, yeah, I can do that. That'll take about 10 minutes maybe, and then I could be on my way. And so me and Kelvin walk out of the room into the kitchen, and he's like, roommate, and she's like, yeah, Cassie's not feeling well. She has a headache, so we're going to go ahead and eat, and then I'm going to take her home. That sounds perfectly reasonable, right?
Yeah.
Well, apparently it wasn't a reasonable request. And, so she got a little, pissy about that. And then, of course, because I'm his sister, and she's very, very drunk, I could tell immediately that the way she was talking and acting started to piss Kelvin off.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've seen him mad, Hushcho, but when he's angry, Mm-hmm. And he was trying very hard to keep it in, but then you could tell when, as soon as he turned around to face her again, he just kept walking, and I'm like, yep, that's the end of that. And he's just like, you know what, never mind, we'll just go. And, and so, of course, I'm still, trying to keep the peace. I'm just like, okay, roommate, another person. It was nice to see you. I'll talk to you later. Bye. Thanks for having me. And I go down the stairs, and me and Kelvin get in the car, and, as soon as I sat there, and I'm like, we should just go. We should just start the car and go. But Kelvin's very upset. He's very angry. And so, of course, he's taking the time to try and calm down. But, of course, my ESP is like, no, you should start the car and go right now. And then other person apparently comes down the stairs. And I'm like, oh, great. We're going to have to talk to her now instead of just leaving like we should. And again, she's not as drunk as roommate. But she is very, very drunk still. So, Kelvin's talking to her, or trying to talk to her, and explain why he's upset, because she's like, why are you mad for? Why are you guys leaving? And Kelvin's like, it's because you guys are drunk, especially roommate. She's very drunk, and the way she's talking about my sister, not wanting to leave after she's ate. He's like, I don't like it. It's not right. And we've done all this to, she's trying to get us to come back in. And Kelvin's like, no. And of course I'm sitting there thinking, no, we should not go back in there. We should just leave. I'm like, you should back away from the door, let Kelvin shut it, and we should leave. And then finally, of course, she asked me my opinion. Like, you think he should stab me? He's worked really hard on this. And I'm like, I think right now we should just actually leave. So then she was trying to convince us to let her go with us. And I'm like, no. Yeah, but no.
Yeah, but no. Yeah, that's a classic.
Basically, you've probably talked to a drunk person before. It's going to be nothing but circular. And so that's what this was devolving into with other person. And finally, Kelvin convinced her to at least go in there and get his jacket, because in his anger, Kelvin had forgot his leather jacket. And it was cold. And so she went back in there, and I'm like, well, hopefully she'll be right back out with it. And it wasn't even maybe like a minute. There was roommate. And I'm like, fuck me. I'm like, we should just say fuck it and get out of here. Let's not even. And I'm like, Kelvin, your roommate, and she's. And so he opens the door to talk to her. You can pretty much imagine how this conversation goes. He's talking to her, and she's like, I don't understand why you're upset. And Kelvin explains. She's like, so let me get this straight. And, again, she's drunk. So, drunk logic here. Kassie has a headache from a little bit of music. And Kelvin's like, yeah, the music was loud. He's like, I asked you, I'm like, you had it so loud. And she's like, well, you could have told me, asked me to turn it down, and I would have. And this is pretty much the part where I went, roommate, he did ask you several times. No, he did. Yes, he did several times, and you got in his face every time and said no. And then proceeded to play your music as loud as possible. It is so loud, I now have a migraine from it. And so then, you can imagine that it went from she didn't understand to what was wrong to I was the one with the problem.
Great.
And I should have been, in her own words, grateful that I had been bothered to be invited over.
What?
Because it was Thanksgiving, and it was a very special occasion for people to get together and be a family, and I was ruining Thanksgiving.
They're not a part of your family.
No.
Like, that's just ridiculous. You don't even hang out with these people. Why would they? Oh, that's so stupid. That's so stupid.
Right? So then...
That is very much a what the fuck Leslie moment.
So this got to the point where I'm just like, you know what, fuck it, I'll start agreeing with her. And so I did. I was like, yeah, you're right, whatever, I don't care, I want to go. I'm like, Kelvin, let's just go. And then she started that stupid whiny teenager shit. It's all about you, and not everything's about you. I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I would lean over and start beating the shit out of you if I knew you were sober saying this shit to me. So basically, it devolved into her calling me an asshole. And then just like a record being stuck on calling me an asshole. And so there was about a full minute of her just standing there looking right at me. You're an ass, Kassie. You're an ass. You're an ass. You're an ass, Kassie. You're such an ass. Finally, other person was like, all right, you've had enough of that. And then you could still, like, as she's grabbing her, basically, literally pulling her away because she refuses to. She just wants to stand there and cuss at me, pull her away, and you can still hear her calling me an asshole. And the other roommate is like, no, you're the one being a dick.
Yeah.
And so anyway, Kelvin finally, he's just like, whatever. And so finally we just leave. And I know Kelvin's upset. And so I told him, I'm like, Ray, we could just park somewhere until you calm down and feel better. And we'll just go and do something. And, you know, at that point, I'm like, let's just go to my house and, like, order a pizza or something. I mean, I'm like, we can make up later, you know, this. It doesn't have to be especially today. We'll have an off day or something where we can get together and do something. Kelvin finally calmed down a little bit, but he kept apologizing to me, and he's like, I should have listened to you. I'm like, Ray, you didn't know. It's an important day for you, and you wanted to do something nice. I mean, you couldn't help what they decided to do. So then we tried to go to a couple of different places, none of which Kelvin was happy with, because he absolutely had to have turkey because it was Turkey Day. And I'm thinking, I just want a nice dinner. I don't care if I have turkey or not. I just want to eat something because I'm hungry and I want to spend time with my brother. We went to Cracker Barrel. They were out of turkey. I don't remember what the other place was we were thinking about going to, but I don't think they were open. And so finally, against every fiber of Kelvin's being, we went to the most cliched place in the world to have Thanksgiving at, and that was Shoney's. Because everything be damned if he didn't get turkey after all that shit. The only other thing that really went wrong was that other person kept calling Kelvin nonstop after that whole fiasco, and she's like, I'm gonna just walk and leave or something, cause now roommate's that mad at me and wants me to get out, and I'm just like, oh my god, I hate drunk people. This is why we shouldn't have went in the first place.
Unfortunately, some people just cannot hold their alcohol, and they just keep going and going and going.
And this was very much an example of that. So, basically, it boiled down to, I told Ray, I'm like, look, when she's sober, we're gonna have a chat. And the chat is going to be this. She's an adult. She can do what she likes. But if she's going to drink, it's not going to be in this house. Mm-hmm. And if she's going to get drunk, she better not come back to this house until she's sober again.
More than reasonable, considering how she's acted.
Yeah. So she did apologize later, and Kelvin said that basically she told him she didn't remember. She remembered a little bit, but not like all that stuff that happened.
Great.
And I'm just like, well, okay, I guess. Because I told Kelvin, because he was upset, and I'm like, Ray, you know it wouldn't happen if she wasn't drunk. Everything would be fine if they hadn't been drinking. Mm-hmm. Or if they knew how to actually adult and handle alcohol.
Yeah.
And Kelvin's like, yeah, but I should have listened to you from the start as soon as I mentioned they'd been drinking. And I'm like, well, Ray, you didn't know all this bullshit was going to happen. You were just trying to, make food.
Yeah.
I mean, what was you supposed to do? Go and get their liquor and say no? I mean, granted, you could have because you live there and it's your house, but, I mean, they're the adults that went and did a thing. They're supposed to be responsible.
Yes, they are.
And so that was my Thanksgiving.
Well, I'm sorry it was so bad.
It was absolutely terrible.
Oh, that's such a shame.
I can safely say that I've never had such a shitty Thanksgiving, and I hope I never will again.
I'm very sorry to hear it was so bad.
Well, I mean, before that happened, the only Thanksgiving that was really kind of not good was the first Thanksgiving without Mom.
Yeah.
But that just seemed really lonely. Because it's just me and Ray, and we're just sitting there eating our food, not really talking, because, what do we talk about other than the stuff we normally talk about, So everybody in the audience, how was your Thanksgiving? I know it's like a whole month late before this video got posted, but computer issues and crashing and hard drives dying again. So that's why stuff that I was hoping to accomplish didn't happen. And I'm sad now because there was stuff I was looking forward to doing that I can't do because the computer is stupid. So I'm hoping tomorrow will be much better and absolutely no drinking.
I hope so too, because sometimes that can just be the worst. Really ruin anything.